Good evening, summoners and summonettes, as we get into LGHAL Week 4 here, Last Hit Gods Academy League. My name is Diatrapa. I am joined by the lovely Rudude, and today we're going to be bringing you two similarly tagged teams in Orbital Gaming Aurora and Omega Gaming Tempest.
Yep, super excited for tonight's games, and obviously just when we get into game, expect the teams to be slightly differently addressed with their tags, so as to not cause too much confusion. But either way, obviously, last hit Gods Academy League action right here, week number 4. Super excited to get these games underway. Just a best of 3 for everybody tonight.
And I think importantly, in the best of three, it is a regular season best of three. These are going to be the teams feeling themselves out. They haven't gotten a chance to play too much together yet. So I'd expect that as the series goes on, we see more and more start to change. Right now, though, it's pretty standard bans from the side of Omega with a little bit more targeting from Orbital Gaming.
Yeah, we've got some more specifically focused bans coming through from Orbital Gaming, who are on the blue side in game number 1. Um, Gragas getting taken away from Caxi, just a massive Gragas player, and Lucian mid taken away from Todd, something that has been prolific in numerous of the games that we've seen already just from this Tempest lineup. And then, as you mentioned, the Ash, the Hecarim, and the Victor bans taken away. A couple of very meta bans, and then obviously the Victor, a little bit more niche, but definitely excited to see that one taken off of the table. And we'll have to see what will be brought in the mid lane by Vertexity here.
And continuing the sort of off meta color that we have here, Misfortune being the first lock in, followed by Jin. This may be a new adaptation to the meta, but the Lilia is really the most common thing, or the most commonly seen thing that we have on the Rift right now. Misfortune Jin is not necessarily the answers that you're always drafting yourselves early on. These are very niche picks that I feel like have been drafted blind, maybe a little bit questionably.
Yeah, I mean, Misfortune and Jin definitely lower in priority. Jin probably higher so than the Misfortune, but when things like Caitlyn and the Senna are still available, a few question marks are raised as to whether or not they want to go for comfort over the meta, and they've definitely answered the questions with just wanting to go for the comfort. And already on this Orbital Gaming lineup, you can see that they've drafted themselves for slightly wombo combo style team fights here. They've got the Misfortune ulti layered on top of the Cataclysm, already the makings of a very strong team fighting composition.
Yeah, and I really like the Morgana pickup as well. Going to make a very strong bot lane, potentially and expectedly, if the Morgana were to be flexed into mid, which is something that we have to give room for, but not necessarily expect. I think that this is going to be a really strong bot lane, and coupling that against a Jin Karma, this might actually be a lane that is very damage heavy, and I say that only because of the amount of kill threat that Jin has with his lockup, as well as Morgana brings with her binding. There's very little room for error from these champions.
Definitely, it's quite rare that you see two sort of caster supports, I'll call them. Obviously, Morgana sort of fits a different role to the Jannas and the Karmas and things like that. But where there's so much kill threat in the bot lane, obviously one of these binds lands, maybe one of the roots lands from the Jin, and either side is going to have to be very careful of their positioning and very careful of their health bars, really, during the bot lane phase and pretty much throughout the game. A strong amount of picked up when you just pick, just Morgana in itself.
Yeah, and now that the Morgana is there, she is technically flex pick, but importantly, we don't expect it to be flexed, and it means that Orbital Gaming, they've left themselves a little bit open as we move into the second phase of draft. Now that the Akali Jacks are taken away, as well as the Orianna, who's a very safe blind pick. I like the ban from Omega Gaming. Right now, Orbital Gaming, they're going to be forced to reveal their whole hand because there aren't that many flexes between mid and top outside of something like the Lucian that's already been taken away.
Exactly, and the Ori ban as well. Want to quickly address how brilliant this ban will be just with the composition that Orbital have already drafted. We talked about the team fighting pressure and the ease of execution that the Ori would add to that. The flag drag slam with the shockwave on top, just not something that Omega want to be dealing with, and rightly they ban away the Orianna. A lot of AoE CC taken off the table in the second round of bans. Renekton picked up for Omega Gaming Tempest up in the top lane, and a Jace answer to it. So we're gonna have that melee versus ranged matchup in the top lane for Tempest, but if this Renekton gets on top of the Jace, then it's very difficult for the Jace to get away.
Yeah, the gauntlet has been thrown from Orbital Gaming. I do not see a lot of Jace in what I want to call amateur League of Legends. It tends to be very popular in LPL, sometimes comes up in LCK, but it is not a pick that by any means I am used to seeing on this stage. And going up against a Renekton, no less, which I'll say has a little bit easier of a barrier to execution, is going to be really risky, and I'm really looking towards whether Orbital Gaming Aurora can start to play around that as a pressure point on the map, because otherwise, you're right, it's a pick that has to win, and it might be in a little bit of a hard place to do so.
It definitely has the opportunity to fail and to falter up in that top lane. Uh, Quite a snowbally matchup, if I'm not mistaken. I know that obviously the limited experience I'm going to have in this Renekton Jace matchup, but obviously Renekton is a lot more meta at the moment. You know, looking
Hmm.
across just worlds, we've seen maybe one day of the group stages, and already Renekton popping up a little bit in the play-ins as well, just throughout Renekton really dominating. So I'm quite excited to see how Milk Cows can do on this pick. See if he's able to maybe push the advantage of Renekton's laning, and maybe get on top of this Jace and start shutting him down.
Yeah, and I think it's important to address also the fact that the lane states are going to be really interesting, because the draft from Omega Gaming Tempest has opened up the Lilia really well, and I think Orbital Gaming have done a really good job of answering to that, especially with their last couple picks.
Yeah, the disengage potential just that Syndra and Jace have, obviously both having similar um, knockback effects with the pushback from Jace, the scatter the weak from the Syndra. That Lilia trying to get in range to hit those cues and get that sleep applied on multiple members, going to be quite difficult. And then in tandem with the fact that they have the Morgana, if they only hit the swirl seed onto one member, trying to sleep that target with the Morgana nearby, going to be quite difficult indeed. And sort of reducing the effectiveness of the Lilia as we get later and later into the game. Though early on, the Lilia ganking potential up on the top side is something that really can be abused by Tempest.
And I wonder if that ganking potential ever really goes away, because when I look at the team comps again, I think I want to start thinking, oh, where is the team fight composition for them? And we saw Orbital Gaming Aurora; they really came out swinging hard with something like the Misfortune, Jarvan, and even Morgana, all very good team fighters. But the last part of the draft really feels like it's going in another direction.
Yeah, they've drafted themselves Syndra as well as that Jace. The Jace obviously more adept at split pushing. We'll say definitely doesn't want to be team fighting just because you can only do so much in a team fight situation before you jump in and can ultimately get blown up. So in a one versus one scenario, you're a lot safer to go into that hammer form and use the other half of your kit essentially. And with
Mm.
just the poke that comes through from Jace, not necessarily the greatest team fighter. Syndra though picked up as well, can do well in the team fight and can also do well off in the side lane.
And that's really powerful. The fact that there are two potential side laners on the side of Orbital Gaming Aurora and Omega Gaming Tempest, they also have really strong side lanes, I think is fair to say, specifically with the Renekton and the Corki. So I like the answers and the balance that we have here, but it means that with all of these squishies being drafted on both sides, we're going to have very quick team fights. I expect people, even though neither of these compositions are exactly pick compositions, I expect it to look like they are, just because of the amount of damage that they can output onto one target.
Exactly. When you look at it on paper, there's no generic tank really from either team. Maybe Orbital Gaming to send this Jarvan into that full tank stature with the Cinderhulk, with the Knight's Vow, Gargoyle Stoneplate, and similar builds like that. But there's nothing that says or screams hard tank to you. So all of these members of both sides gonna have to be really careful with their positioning and really play around their cooldowns, play around the skill shots from the opponents, and keep themselves safe because you get caught by any CC, there's no lack of damage on either side to get you blown up.
No, there really isn't. And right now, I want to sort of pick your brain, Rooted, if I may, about the way that these, of course, the conversations have become very similar in some ways, very different in others. But where do you see the priority being different across the map, specifically for these junglers in the first couple minutes? Because that's something that I really like to keep an eye on as we go through the motions of the early game.
Exactly. I think when we look at Orbital's side, we'll take it one by one here. That the Jarvan has a plethora of options. Either of the side lanes early on are some places that I can expect to see this Jarvan target. Obviously, Jace, we know he's a really strong laner, and in a Renekton matchup as well, that favor can be tipped either side dependent on the jungle pressure. So expect Caxi, expect this Jarvan here to go up to the top lane and maybe sway the lane in their laner's advantage. Similarly, we look at the bot side of the map for the Misfortune and the Morgana down here. Misfortune, one of those champions that if goes the crit build can scale well into the late game, but is nowhere near as consistent as the Jhin, sort of tending to become a more ultimate focused carry, I'll say. You know, Misfortune post 16 becoming sort of an ult bot in previous seasons, though. The lethality build not being so prevalent means that Athena Bear on this Jarvan can focus bot lane and try and snowball this Misfortune, as well as trying to snowball the Jace. So a couple of options for the Jarvan, and then look over at Omega Gaming's side here. They've got a little bit of an easier time for me, at least. I feel like when you pick Corki and you pick Jhin, you scale so well into the late game, and you're just going to be able to sit back and hope that Orbital don't win the game, essentially. That being said, Caxi has the option to once again go top lane and sway that lane in their favour. And for me, I feel like we could be just painting this picture of top lane being this all and end all fighting lane. Because if it goes one direction, either of these top laners can take over a game.
Yeah, and I think that that is a really good point because we're going to have to be looking at the top lane more than any other. Even though we talked about the explosive potential of the bot lane, it is just that sort of latent potential. Whereas in the top lane, it's going to be so much more important for the win conditions. And I think a lot of pressure, as we mentioned, on Athena Bear almost because the Tempest, they can sit back. They have the option to just play safe. And it feels like Orbital Gaming Aurora, they do need to be making stuff happen specifically for this Jace to ensure his success as we get to the later stages of the game. But with those expectations set up, I want to take a quick break to throw us into that spectator delay, take us onto the Rift, and bring you guys Game 1 of Omega Gaming Tempest versus Orbital Gaming Aurora. Gaming Aurora versus Omega Gaming Tempest. It is our first game of the night, first game of a best of three, and we've had a rather interesting draft. A little bit of off meta here and there, a little bit of comfort we expect. And just as a reminder for those of you who didn't manage to catch the draft, we're looking towards this top lane as Rooted and I are getting ready for what I expect to be a rather action-packed lane.
Yes, thank you very much, dear. And already we can see some slightly atypical starting items coming out pretty much across the board here. All of the laners of Tempest going for what I'll call not meta, or not meta, but not the standard builds, right? Corki and Jin, more typically D-Blade users, and they've both adopted for the cull. But where we see the biggest sort of wow factor is going to be up in that top lane. Milk Cow's gone for the triple rejuvenation bead start up in that top side, so really hoping to mitigate all of the poke that this Jace will put down early on, and trading that off with any trading power that he would have in the 1v1.
Yeah, and defensive build from Milk Cows, at least for now, is going to be responded to with the cull from the Jace, wanting to get towards that mid-game spike even earlier. So I think that this is going to put a little bit more pressure even on Athena to gank this lane, because right now the defensive itemization going to keep Gordon from being able to make his own advantages.
Yeah, definitely, and already we can see some nice jungle pathing coming through that Athena Bear takes the red buff and then immediately runs bot lane. If Hooker lands at a binding here, then the J4 Flag and Drag can't connect. Not going to hit.
This could be deadly, yeah. But Hooker is just looking for it for right now. I don't think we see a lot happen here. Might be the flash forced out of Emily, but the fact that the binding misses, I think just spells doom.
I wanna check. I'm gonna hit pause real quick because I think you are further behind me than I'd imagined. Give me the timing right now, and we'll take it back.
I'm at 2:17, so I'm gonna pause at 2:30. How about
that? Okay. We'll go through. We've got a little trading up in the top lane here. We might have to ignore a top lane gank, but it looks like we're all going to be good to go.
Yeah, we're fine.
Wonderful stuff.
And there I am at that 2:30 mark.
Wonderful. Okay. Whew. Alrighty. Unpause for me in 3, 2, 1. Unpause. Lovely stuff. Sorry about that, guys. It's just the issue with being across in the United Kingdom. Sometimes we do get desynced, and that's just the way that Riot's going to work. But nothing happened. Nothing missed. Nothing experienced, really, other than that bot lane gank from Athena Bear, which ultimately didn't result in anything. Both summoners still available, and are fighting in the jungle.
Yeah, it looks like this could result in something. A lot of damage onto Caxi, who's pretty squishy early on, and he's running, but it's the wrong way. He's going into Protexity. Nice Scout of the Week will end up missing, but Caxi, he's still trapped over here, has no flash, and Gordon, he feels comfortable just walking him down. There are 3 members here, and the rest of Omega Gaming Tempest, they're going to have to leave. Shock Blast going to secure the first blood for the Jason. He's looking for more. Milk Cows should be able to get out of here, but the way is in an awkward spot as well.
Yeah, but this double buff Jace now going to make Milk Cows' job even harder. Gordon going further in. Could potentially be looking for a fight onto Milk Cows. Jarvan's still in the river, so Milk Cows knows he has to back off. Respect that the jungler is still around. Caxi getting just a little too aggressive with the counter jungling. Secures the blue buff, but does give his life and his flash at the end of it.
And the fact that the double buffs there are picked up by Gordon means that the kill is more than a kill in the top side. Gordon is going to be massively ahead.
Yeah, and you can see that respect from Milk Cows coming through even more so now. The first blood going over to the Jace means that this Renekton's time in the top lane is going to get even more torrid. Knows that he has to respect that and has built a cloth armor accordingly. Not going to be fun up on this top side. Lots of rejuvenation beads, lots of armor being picked up in this early game. This Renekton really not going to do the damages that you expect from a Renekton early on, at least.
No, and I mean, as much as Milk Cows isn't having a good time, as Athena, you're so happy. You've just managed to get what is essentially a free lead onto your top laner. Yes, you lose your blue buff, but that's really all that it is. And Athena Bear going to be a little bit more unlocked now that a rather large advantage has gone over to his top laner, who should be able to extend that on his own, depending on the comfortability with the champion.
Yeah, exactly, and whilst it's obviously a bit saddening that he loses the blue buff, as you mentioned, he's able to farm up the entire time that Caxi is A, in base, and B, dead. You know, the time that he takes him to walk out to the jungle is time that Athena Bear has spent farming. On top of the fact that this Jarvan is somebody that wants to get things going in the early game, having an assist early on is definitely very profitable, as we see a trade going up on the top lane, and Milk Cow somehow still doing better than he should be.
Yeah, it's going to be a little game here. Renekton trying to eke out those small advantages, because still is a very explosive champion. But right now just has to sit way far back, doesn't know where the Jarvan is, and has to play with the respect that he could just show up in the river, has the blast cone available, and right now with no vision in either side of the jungle, it's something that all the lanes should be looking for.
Definitely, we've got these standard laning wards where you sort of put a ward in the river brush just outside of your lane to try and get away if it's too late, but with that blast cone being available, even if the Jarvan shows up on that ward, and the Renekton's this far up into the lane, could spell danger. Fortunately, Athena Bear on the bot side clearing up the camps that the Jarvan's got, so not going to be too much danger right there, as we see actually, looking at this minimap, Caxi looked like he was pathing into the top side to try and preempt a gank or maybe get a lane gank going. But actually with the golems available and a farm lead actually on this Lilia, going to be looking to keep that maintained lead going.
Caxi goes for the guaranteed gold there, but Athena, he wants even more. Level 6 hit for the Corki. No level 6 for Vertexity, though, means there's not quite enough burst, and this might get turned around. Todd looks for the damage onto Athena Bear, but isn't going to be able to find quite enough. Jarvan, at this point, still relatively tanky, especially into Corki's not a lot of damage, as Caxi, he might be looking for something in the top side. Doesn't have the most powerful ganks. Gordon, he's got a lot of damage right now. He's going to be forced to flash away. Doesn't manage to burst down anybody and flashes away to avoid getting burst himself.
Yeah, using the phase rush to good effect as well right there. Getting away with that phase rush, getting to really chunk out this Renekton right there. The minion's doing a considerable amount of damage as well as that accelerated shot blast, but Caxi is back.
Yeah, this is really dangerous for Caxi. More than one might imagine is going to get chunked to sub 100 HP by that Jace. Ganking a Jace with a pickaxe this early on as a Lilia is a little bit ambitious.
Yeah, especially when you're so low HP and Milk Cows really can't threaten the stun in any way. Milk Cow's now going to probably get zoned off of at least the money from this wave, knowing that he can't step up too freely to this Jace, who, with that pickaxe, with that cull, is going to do a tremendous amount of damage if you allow him to get into your range.
And only 25 CS on the Renekton to the 50 of the Jace right now is going to mean that this Jace is not only ahead in terms of the gold from the kill, but is starting to accumulate that lane advantage and is going to be able to build into that potential one-shot onto Renekton if this goes astray, if this continues in this way.
Yeah, definitely. And we talked about it in the draft that this top lane was going to be the place to watch, and that just got that got accentuated even more so given the double buff transfer that Gordon got so early on. And I'm not surprised to have seen all of this focus by the junglers. Obviously, Caxi going up twice, Athena Bear being able to secure the double buffs on for the Jace as well. So this top side of the map should keep your eyes on it, because this Renekton, as we say, with now the Ninja Tab, he's definitely trying to protect himself, and level 6 hit could be looking for an all-in.
Yeah, Dominus going to be popped. Jace is at just half HP. Gordon has no flash to get out of there, and Milkhouse, he's looking for the slice and dice, but doesn't have it available just yet. Gordon, he's going to get out under the tower there. And surprisingly, this Renekton finds himself a small little advantage. It's going to force the back out of Gordon, who cannot stay in this lane any longer.
No, he can't, and with no TP available, probably going to be able to get a little bit of an XP catch-up from Milkhouse. You see the level 6 to the level 7, likely going to be able to secure not just the plate, but also this extra wave here, on top of the reset that the Jace has to take. Obviously, it's going to be a cannon wave, so it's a little more difficult for the Renekton to shove out. But you see those Ninja Tabbies coming through aren't doing the same damage that a Longsword would do. Imagine a Tiamat in that situation, and the Jace is almost certainly going to fall right there with just the sheer damage that the Renekton would put out. This defensive itemization causing some issues early on.
Yeah, for right now, this Renekton is going to be very much a pressure absorption lane. And we had mentioned again in the draft that Omega Gaming, if they can scale up, they feel comfortable. Right now, it looks like they're giving up that first dragon, but at least if this Renekton can survive, there's a chance for Omega Gaming.
There really is, and you look across the items from Omega Gaming, and it was indicative from the starting items, the double cull coming out from both of the marksmen, showing that they just want to scale up and want to get their items in as fast as possible. About 20 CS off for both of the marksmen at the minute, and Corki's already picked up a mana mune, so stacking that one up will have the Mura mana hopefully before the 20-minute mark here, and the Jhin with the double AD items working towards that Infinity Edge. Both of these marksmen looking to be very strong as we get later and later into the game, though I fear for their potential to play out team fights. I look across at the side from Orbital Gaming here, and this Jhin is going to have an absolutely awful time trying to team fight if Athena Bear is able to lock him in the Cataclysm. Jhin will have that flash, but that's a 5-minute cooldown. Cataclysm, you can get 2.5 probably, ultimates off during that time, so you're only going to be able to flash out of so many Cataclysms and so many bullet times before you end up just falling due to that combo.
Yeah, and it's going to be a matter of now this Renekton, who really was the only frontline available for Omega Gaming Tempest, is going to be behind and is going to have to work that much harder. Milk Cows, though, looks like he's been comfortable with the pressure absorption and surviving, even with the large deficit that he's found himself at, has managed to keep the CS gap at exactly what it is. It's no longer double the CS for Gordon. It is just that 25 CS lead, and if we can continue that, closing that gap, or at least keeping it the same, Milk Cows will scale to a nice utility point in the team fight.
Yeah, and his goal in a team fight is just going to be blow up one target. If you can do more than that, then perfect, but the sort of assassin potential from Renekton does come out as we get those 2 damage items coming through. Todd trading in the mid lane knows that Vitexity has no mana, so the Unleashed power can't be threatened, but obviously trying to stack up those autos. Milk Cows.
Ooh, yeah, Dominus is going to be popped, and it's going to let him survive for just a little while longer. Caxi, he flashes forward, needs to put the Jace to sleep, but it doesn't matter because Syndra has the Unleashed power available this time, and now needs to protect her laners. Gordon going to be taken down by Todd on the side. The poke from the Missile Barrage is too much. Double kill for the Corki. Now, could he find the triple? Protects it. He has no Scatter the Weak just yet.
No.
The missile will miss, though. And now Caxi, he's got to be on the hunt here. They're chasing down this Syndra. They might be able to find him. Missiles just zoning a little bit. Swirl Seed going to be able to find the slow. Going to be able to find the watch out. Even Caxi, he picks up his first kill of the game and a double kill over the Corki.
Yeah, 3 for 1 overall in favor of Omega Gaming Tempest there. They secure the Herald as well, and 2 kills onto Todd. This farming Corki has a 20 CS lead in the mid lane, has that man immune, now the Phage as well, completed Cull to boot. Everything going well in the mid game for this Corki, and this is definitely a carry point for Tempest. Todd in the mid lane has been dominating team fights, and every time that we've seen him in previous weeks, he's been the superstar carrying the team fights. Getting those 2 kills on Todd and the assist as well is something that Orbital are really going to have to be cognizant of, because this has just painted a massive target on Todd's back.
It has, and there's so much, like you mentioned, one-shot potential on Orbital Gaming Aurora. We have the Syndra, we have the Jace, we have the Jarvan to lock you in place, and that rhymes surprisingly, but nonetheless, it might be a surprising amount of damage that comes out of them if they do decide, you know what, Corki's really the only problem right now, and right now, it's what it's looking like. Yes, Caxi got a kill, and double assist onto Renekton is going to do wonders for them, but Todd is the source of damage that Orbital Gaming Aurora has to be careful of right now, and they can deal with it.
They kind of Phoenix going in bot lane, flash forced from Emily, so that's not going to matter too much. Up on the top side of the map here, Caxi using that Herald to secure first brick for Tempest in the top lane. This frees the Renekton to get out of this awful laning phase that he's been in for the majority of this game, and with Mountain Dragon spawning in about a minute, it gives the Renekton the ability to roam down and start helping his team set up the objective, be able to secure the vision, and maybe cement themselves as the lead contenders for this Mountain Dragon spawning.
Yeah, now that, like you mentioned, the side lane is broken, Corki also potentially going to be unleashed onto the map. Todd, very scary right now, like we mentioned, still building up some items, but the fact that the Cataclysm is down lessens the threat on him even more.
It really does, and even with the Valkyrie and things like that, the Corki is under less threat to this Jarvan Misfortune combination that King needs to be specifically aware of. But just the fact that the Cataclysm is down, obviously, for this Dragon fight, going to really hurt Orbital Gaming's ability to contest this. Caxi also has a level lead on top of that, so things not looking too great as we set up for this Drake. Jace has no teleport, and with Milk Cows down here to support Omega, should just be a free Mountain Drake, unless we see a Flag Drag steal, but he'd probably be ending up giving his life for that as well.
And the level lead going to matter there as well, but Caxi, he's not anywhere near the Drake. They want to take this fight because the Syndra is sleeping at the wheel. Milk Cow's going to be chunked out now, and the Dragon going to be the turning point here for Omega Gaming Tempest. They want to find this nice bullet time across 3 members there. Dragon going to be taken by the Misfortune. Bullet time, and Jarvan going to give up his life in the pit. They secure themselves the Dragon this time, though. And teleport from Milk Cow is going to bring him right back to the top lane, right back where he was.
Exactly, so 2 kills for Tempest there, but ultimately the objective going to Orbital Gaming, which is you feel like their win condition is going to be trying to get Soul and maybe snowball that into the Elder Drake, and with the second dragon going their way as well, going to be a long time before we see Omega Gaming get their hands on a Soul, at the very least. So just denying it, going to probably open up a lot of cooldown reduction on their ultimates with this Cloud Rift being spawned. But that entire time, we have to take track that the Jace was up on the top side, stacking the man immune, getting an even bigger advantage in the 1 versus 1 versus this Renekton. Look at the item discrepancy right now. As well as the 50 CS lead, we have a completed man immune and the components of that Youmuu's Ghost Blade being finished. And look across for the Renekton. He's got Ninja Tabbies, a Bilgewater Cutlass, and still a ton of health regen in the Rejuve beads, but nothing anywhere near comparing to this Jace's items.
And the Bilgewater Cutlass? Are we sure we want to go down that road?
I'd think that this is just to counter the split push, but at this point when you're so far behind, it's if you decide to build for the team or continue to decide to build for yourself. I mean, Blade of the Ruin King is just a staple Renekton item at this stage in the meta. Obviously, that Rejuve bead remaining probably going to work its way towards the Tiamat, as we see Scuttlecrab doing an absolute madness in the topside jungle from the Syndra. But this Renekton build will have to keep it monitored, because if Milk Cows is able to find the side lane versus the Jace, then yes, this will be perfect. But if he gets placed into a teamfight scenario, it's obviously going to be a little bit less effective in that teamfight situation.
Yeah, this could be another version of CGC versus World Class Galaxy, where the side lane build actually ends up super mattering this game, and it very well might, because we mentioned that Orbital Gaming, they have very strong side lane right now, and it is a win condition that they could look towards if they don't feel like they can team fight around Todd. There's always the chance that we see Orbital Gaming transition into that side lane, and if so, you need to have your Renekton ready to answer.
Exactly, and it's sort of covering all of the bases on that token, isn't it? And the binding hits.
Yeah, Emily does have a lot of shields to her name, though, or his name. I assume it's her.
Yes, Emily is a female.
I would struggle as a male to be like Emily, because that I just wouldn't. It seems like an odd account name to just pick up there. So fortunately, going to have a lot of shields to her name, and is going to be able to survive those bindings for now. But Gordon is not going to be able to survive against Todd here, who's found him in the top side jungle, flashes over the wall, but still loses his life to the auto attack, and no follow-up from Dexterity here. Has to be careful of the 2v2 even. Athena Bear isn't necessarily going to be able to provide that additional damage needed to take down 2 members.
No, at this stage, the Jarvan early base damages have pretty much been removed from him, as he's gone for this full tank style with that Cinderhulk and now just the cloth armor and Mercury treads as well. So this Jarvan really is just a CC bot at this point, an attempted frontline, if you will. Whereas this Lilia with the Runic Echoes, with the Haunting guys as well, working towards that Liandry's, maybe even going for an early Dead Man's Plate, dependent on how uncomfortable they're feeling with the rest of the team composition from Orbital Gaming. But Emily and the teleport from Todd.
Oh yeah, teleport from Corki, gonna be burning down Hookery in the bot side. Is gonna be the kill picked up for the Karma this time. But Todd, spreading the advantage across the map is exactly what you need on this roster. And now with the Rift Herald in the mid lane, there's pressure everywhere on Orbital Gaming. Yeah,
and they're gonna try and maybe break the turret, but the charge probably not gonna fully take down the turret here. Leaves it with about 1/5 of its health bar, so one unattended wave, one mispositioned mid laner, and that turret will fall for Orbital Gaming. Obviously, the 3-man collapse with Todd's teleport is going to net a kill in the bot lane and also that turret. So big advantages for Tempest there accruing right now, as we see, kill score 2-7, quite sizable. Turrets 2-0 as well has netted Tempest that 4,000 gold lead at about 20 minutes.
And importantly, it's not only the gold lead, but it is the pressure lead, because there are no turrets taken for Orbital Gaming Aurora. Double turrets in both the top and the bot side give them so much more control as we approach this 3rd dragon.
Exactly, with about 15 seconds left on that respawn. And again, no big ultimates for the side of Orbital Gaming. Yes, the Cataclysm's available, but Unleashed Power was just wasted trying to take down Caxi before the spawn. Bullet time, as well as the Soul Shackles from the Morgana used in the bot lane to try and disengage the situation. These ults not being available will mean that, again, Tempest are going to have the advantage in the fight. And with all 5 of their ults available, all 5 of their flashes as well, you have to feel like Tempest, at least so far, have the advantage going in.
Yeah, my eyes right now are on Todd, who has been incredible this game at dishing out the damage. Needs to be able to do across multiple members, but Caxi gonna fail the flash, and he is dead meat if he's caught out in the middle of this. Bullet time gonna be channeled, gonna miss everybody, but importantly zones out Caxi, leads him right back into the team. That's the jungler down for Omega Gaming. Tempest. This could be Dragon going over to Orbital Gaming.
Yeah, and it probably will be as well. This is gonna put them to soul point here. The win condition we established about 5 minutes ago coming to fruition. The nice play from Athena Bear, picking out Caxi. And a very big misplay, really, failing the flash over the wall, going for the fat part where the Cataclysm had combined with the terrain, meaning that flash is just that much harder. Probably could have tried to move to the other side of the wall and just gone for the safer flash to safety toward the team. But unfortunately, he's going to have to give up the life of the Lilia as Milk Cows may be caught, seen on this sweeper.
Yeah, right there is going to be caught out. Athena Bear looks for him, has the Chilling Smite as well, but the Rune King active, going to buy a little bit of time. Dominant's going to be popped to survive, but it doesn't matter for Texany. He takes him down. Milk Cows is just another stack for this Syndra here. And now, additionally, the bot side tower being gone means that Omega Gaming Tempest losing a little bit of that pressure that we talked about earlier.
Exactly. Now, the neutral objectives here definitely in favor of Orbital Gaming, and now some standing turrets going in their favor as well. This is a lot of gold going back into the pockets of Orbital. You see that gold lead was 4,000 before the Dragon, has now just been taken down with that top lane turret to about 1,500. So the gold lead halved and a little bit more so. Still need to be cognizant of the fact that the marksmen now reach their 2-item spike. Jhin has the rapid fire cannon. Corki has that Trinity Force, has that upgraded Mura mana now. If Tempest able to find themselves an actual 5 versus 5 situation, these marksmen are going to be lethal.
Into everyone except for the Jarvan, King is feeling nice right now with the double itemization. Is going to be able to blow somebody up because there's so many squishies on the side of Orbital Gaming Aurora. But the same thing, importantly, is mirrored by the Jace of the top line. Gordon on double items as well is a terror if it comes to him versus anybody on the side of Omega Gaming Tempest.
Yeah, just the 1 versus 1 of this Jace is going to be something that really needs to be counted for, and this is probably why we'll see Tempest try and adopt a 5 versus 5 so that they can mitigate the power of this Jace, farming incredibly well for himself relative to obviously Milk Cows, who has been at CS disadvantage this entire game. And then when we look across as well, we can't really forget that Lerasvend here on the Misfortune has been farming really well as well, has most farm in the game, and probably off of this reset going to be able to pick up that Infinity Edge as well. The 2-item spike for the Misfortune is something that we're going to have to monitor as well. The big ticket item coming through means that the auto attacks are going to pack a punch, and that bullet time will do so as well.
And the Infinity Edge picked up right as you mentioned. It is going to be very, very scary. The bullet times are going to be, like you said, things that we have to keep an eye on. The last one was maybe a little bit questionable, but hey, we'll call it zoning. Keeping Caxi in the fight here, manages to get themselves that pick, and with the amount of Wombo that is drafted for Orbital Gaming Aurora, their team fight, even though Omega Gaming Tempest wants to take the game in this direction to keep the Jace down, is looking really, really scary. And it's going to be, I feel like, a story of what Omega Gaming Tempest choose to do. They choose to stall, do they choose to side lane, do they choose to force the 5v5? Because all of them right now are feeling like losing options.
Exactly, I mean, they're stalling at this point, it feels like, for this next Cloud Dragon to be able to deny the soul going through for Orbital Gaming, and then I imagine we'll begin to look towards the Baron, which has been alive for 4 minutes now. There was definitely an option for either of these teams to go ahead and start taking that. That being said, though, you have to think that this Cloud Drake spawning in about 1.5 minutes will be the focus for both teams, and I can't see Tempest giving that one up. Last time around, Milk Cow's up on the top side of the map, had the teleport available, but decided that obviously once Caxi was caught, there was no real contesting that team fight, so we're going to have to wait and see as they begin to establish the vision very early on, about 1 minute left. Definitely time for the vision ping pong to go along and Orbital to sweep in, sweep out, get their vision down. But already, they're stabilizing. 5 members from each side walking over towards this dragon. Vitexity's picked up that needlessly large rod in the mid lane, so packing more of a punch with that. Unleashed power and as well as the Dark Spheres. We're going to have to wait and see because it looks like neither of these teams want to give up the Cloud Drag.
No, I mean, if you're Omega Gaming Tempest, you absolutely cannot milk house. He's itemized into the stopwatch himself here, and he just knows that he needs to buy time in the front line, but no setup showing itself just yet. Nice chunk from Vertexity, though.
Yeah, Scat of the Week doing well, and here goes the Unleashed Power.
Todd, he's got to be careful. He's on the verge of being taken down here. One auto away, manages to grab the kill onto the Syndra, but the fight has started elsewhere. King, he's just trying to keep this driving off, and this is the one person that Jin cannot DPS down. Milkhouse, he burns the stopwatch, buys some time, and is it enough here? Todd finds himself yet another kill onto the drive and going to be taken down by Laros. But now King, he just wants to find this misfortune. Can he find the last shot here? Gets the shot down onto the Bullet Queen in the bot side. And now Caxi and Emily, they're going to be able to take this fourth dragon here of the game and deny Soul from Orbital Gaming.
Yeah, really important that the neutral objective goes the way of Tempest, as well as the team fight going their way. Quite low health bars across the Tempest members, but that entire time, King untouched in the backline. Yes, the Cataclysm locked him up, but he flashed out and was never threatened by Lorosvend. He channeled the bullet time onto the Renekton, who was, in the meantime, able to take down a member of Orbital and Stopwatch to really reduce the effectiveness of that Misfortune ulti. That being said, a big shutdown went the way of Lorosvend on the Misfortune. 950 gold as they killed Todd, both trading places with the Flash to keep themselves in safety. That Misfortune going to pick up a huge paycheck, though, with the kill on Corki. So, need to keep our eyes on this Misfortune because she is going to be very strong.
Yeah, and Misfortune potentially not under as much threat because the dive from Omega Gaming Tempest is really inside of Milkhouse, who, now having sold the stopwatch, served its purpose, is going to be having a little bit of a harder time accessing that backline than somebody like Athena Bear, who can disrupt for free.
Exactly, and here we see Engage on the top side. He's quite alone. Syndra coming from the river.
Yeah, this is going to be the Lilting Lullaby as well. Gargoyles don't play pops to buy a little bit of time, and it's going to be Todd locked in the Cataclysm, but it doesn't matter. This guy's got so much damage to his name, should be able to take down Athena Bear with just one more auto. Double kill for the Corki, and Milkhouse in the bot side going to be farming up. I don't want to say calmly. He's probably on the edge of his seat. Emily in a little bit of trouble here, and Laros is going to back off.
Yeah, just going to walk it out. Gets a couple of autos there. Doesn't want to tempt the Lilia to do even more damage than the Karma will. King going to walk in and clear out some control wards here. Jin perfectly able to do so with those 4 auto attacks on the 4 HP wards. Milkcow's now signaling that the Jace is missing, and they're going to see him in the mid lane here. Looks like Tempest wanted to convert onto the Baron off of those 2 picks, but with the pressure that Laros was able to push out with that just couple of autos on the Misfortune, means that Tempest back away. They secure a little bit of vision and make sure that the Baron isn't going to get rushed by Orbital Gaming, but they by no means start taking it. And really important to mention here, Todd still on this Corki being that carry, has now got the Infinity Edge and the Zeal as well. 45% crit chance. You know, if he crits with a Sheen auto attack here, this Corki is likely to nuke down most members of Orbital Gaming. And we saw it down on the bot side of the map in that first fight around the Dragon, where you know, the Flash Unleashed Power from Vertexity came through, took down Todd to maybe 10 digits or 2-digit HP, but then with the ability to just lifeline his way back up, using the Fleet Footwork, using the Lifesteal rune, able to deal enough damage to get enough HP just to mitigate that final Syndra spell.
And Todd has so much safety, and I want to bring up as we talk about the lives of these squishies, Athena Bear, he got the Cataclysm onto King, but ultimately, the fact that King was able to flash out of it is something that we look to be punished. We say, you know, Jarvan can do that 2.5 times in the span of 5 minutes, but Dragon's only up every 5 minutes. The fact that King is only burning his flash around this Dragon to win these fights right now is exactly what you need to be doing as Omega Gaming Tempest. You just need these neutrals.
Exactly, and it's kind of perfect play in terms of not fighting when there's no need to fight. You know, why would you pick a skirmish when there's no neutral objective to go for? Yes, maybe to, you know, secure some turrets or something like that if a member is overextended, but it's no good forcing engages particularly. And that's what Tempest are doing really well, and with the composition they've drafted, they don't necessarily have that ability. You know, we saw it when Athena Bear overextended. Caxi was happy to punish, but the all-in potential, from Caxi trying to dive in and trying to engage so heavily really isn't there.
Yeah, right now, I think just a little bit of positioning around that dragon is going to be a little bit threatening for Caxi, as you mentioned. Needs to build up that tankiness in order to be able to survive a lot of the burst if they choose to focus on him. Lillian not quite tanky enough yet, but Todd, he's getting collapsed onto the boss side. And Gordon is the 1v1 king that we talked about, but it's not a 1v1 today. Laros, he comes down with the crits to clean up another shutdown onto Todd.
Yeah, another 700 gold in the pocket of the Jin here. Todd going to be late to the spawn of this dragon, which is the soul for Orbital Gaming. Has the teleport available, so if Tempest can stall for just a little bit of time, then Todd will be able to teleport in and be useful, but slight overextension down on the bot side of the map does mean that he falls. Had the flash, had the Valkyrie available, and unfortunately just wasn't able to get away. So now just waiting for that dragon to spawn. 20 seconds on the Drake, 25 on Todd. And Orbital Gaming, they haven't used this advantage. The pick got made, but they've not pushed their vision into the river here. Caxi able to push it out. The pixel brush getting the wards removed, and control wards still firmly in place for Omega Gaming Tempest.
Sintra's teleported down towards the bot side as well. Orbital Gaming, they don't want to give this up. This is not a take 3 Drake, give a few over so you can get map pressure. They want the soul here. And we're going to see if Omega Gaming Tempest can get their mid laner and their top laner here in time. Milkow is going to be teleporting in.
Yeah, Corki is going to be coming from base, it looks like. Does have TP available, but Drake not yet being started by either side gives the Corki the time to wander down. 5 members from Orbital coming through on the bot side of the river, and they now start clearing out that vision. Swirl Seed coming on through. Good little bit of poke from Caxi, has that Liandry, so that tick damage is going to be applied. Now Leros hits that Drake, and we should start seeing the engage anytime now.
King and Milkhouse, they've been chunked out, but the pseudo-engage from King here on the backside wants to find Protexity. Todd almost finds the kill, but Caxi, he's gone in on the other side of that. Stopwatch going to buy a little bit more time as he looks and finds the bouncing blows there right onto... Oh no, Laros Wend is going to be in trouble as it does not matter anymore. Milk Cows wants to find the search there, but bullet time going to buy enough space here, and importantly, the dragon, it goes over to Orbital Gaming Aurora, and it means that everybody gets to get away.
Yeah, I mean, the soul going over to Aurora here, meaning that they've got that big buff now. The Cloud Soul there paying its dividends very early on. Leros able to walk away with that 10% increased movement speed. Able to, kite out this Renekton very heavily, especially with the Misfortune W passive as well. Means that she's very safe. But that being said, the teamfight did go the way of Tempest, which gives them free agency on this Baron. Java not going to be able to respawn, not going to be able to steal it, not going to be able to contest, with Misfortune and Jace nearby doing a chunk of damage.
No bullet time available just yet, but the cooldown is ticking down. This bullet time could be massive. You do not want to be trapped in the pit against this. There it is across the Baron. They still get the Baron. Caxi secures it in the end. Todd, he gets the trade back on Misfortune, assassinates the Misfortune who's been plaguing him the whole game. Todd looking to get away is going to be cleaned up by Vertexity this time, but importantly, 3 Barons still available for Omega Gaming Tempest. They grab that objective right out from under the noses of Orbital Gaming.
Yeah, and they get the objective, but Tempest now need to make this Baron worth it, because we talk about the Cloud Soul being a permanent buff. This Baron only lasts for 3 minutes, and they have to spend a minute of it waiting for Todd to respawn. So they've got effectively 2 minutes of time on the map, and they're going to need to make the most of it. Vertexity is huge on this Syndra as well, coming on through. Scatter the Weak, nuking Todd down there. So this is a dangerous position for Tempest to be in. This Baron really going to be indicative of how well they can close out a game. Elder Drake going to be spawning in 4 minutes time, so that is probably going to be the next time we see a huge fight, short of Tempest overextending their bounds with this Baron.
And well, I mean, importantly, we also have the Elder Dragon at that 3-minute mark, and that's really where that's really where I think we could see a very explosive fight, because we've talked about the stall from Tempest. Yes, Baron is going to play a part of that, but realistically, they've reached their core itemizations. Even Renekton now is sitting at the 2-item mark, has the Death's Dance, and looks like he's working on a Sterix Gauge, perhaps, to buy a little bit more time in that front line, because the name of the game for this Renekton has been buying time so far.
Exactly, and this Misfortune from Leros here is working wonders. We talked about the crit build scaling well into the late game, and it's doing exactly that. Finding no trouble trying to nuke down this Jhin, nuke down Todd, who's effectively just trading RNG hits against one another when they're just auto-attacking each other with this crit build. Both have Infinity Edge, both have a Zeal item. Obviously, the Misfortune with the Essence Reaver has a slight advantage in the raw RNG 1 versus 1. But that being said, it's really difficult to see where the team fight's going to go on either side, because yes, Corki's incredibly strong, but Leros is proving that this Misfortune pick needs to be respected.
Yeah, it's the first pick, Misfortune, brought a lot of question marks, responded to by the first pick, Jhin, that hasn't been able to really shine in this game. I feel like King has been shut out of a lot of plays here, and looks like he's going to be shut out again, going to get the flash forced out of him, and Amelie there. Cataclysm yielding beautiful results in the mid lane. Athena feeling nice about that one, and now those carries have a little bit less safety when King was already, like I said, struggling to get into these fights.
Exactly, and granted the spot lane hasn't died, the Karma Jhin not giving over any gold, any deaths or anything like that, but those 2 flashes expended mean that most importantly, when these neutral objectives respawn, when that Baron's available, when that Elder Drake is up, those flashes aren't going to be available. And this is exactly how we've been talking about the entire game, that this Flag Drag Jarvan can put in work. You know, when this flash is down, the Cataclysm is going to be back up in plenty of time for the neutrals to respawn. Those flashes aren't. Look to Athena Bear, look to Leros to pull off that exact same combination, but this time, with the down flashes, should be yielding much better results.
Yeah, now with the Elder Dragon being the next objective here, Omega Gaming Tempest, they've stalled out a decent amount. It really looks like it's going to be only Todd and Milk Cows that have that instant reposition available to them. And Todd is even pushing it. We have a minute and 40 seconds on his flash, minute 20 seconds on the Elder Dragon. If it is that Orbital Gaming choose to pull the trigger immediately, I'm not sure that we have the actual flexibility in the composition for Omega Gaming Tempest to feel comfortable taking that fight.
Yeah, and yet we look at the gold lead here and we can see that Tempest are supposedly supposed to be in this driver's seat here, but they've given over the Cloud Soul, which makes team fighting quite easy for Orbital in gaming in just terms of being able to reposition with a lot more ease and a lot more safety. And the 6,000 gold lead really just doesn't feel like it. Feels like this is an even 50-50 and that either one of these teams can take a team fight and can take these objectives.
And importantly, the objectives on the side of Omega Gaming Tempest feel like they're under a lot more threat as well, and that's partially due to the strong side lane that we mentioned in the early game even of Orbital Gaming. The Syndra and Gordon are immensely able to chunk out and clear waves. It's something that is what I want to call prominent in their kit. The fact that they've been able to keep these side lanes pushed means that we're constantly keeping on the back foot. Omega Gaming Tempest, are they going to lose a tower? And they need to find a fight as 5 in order to turn this around, because the side lanes they can't match right now.
Yeah, exactly. And look at the top lane right now. Gordon pushing in on that tier 2 turret up on the top side. Elder Drake takes a while to chunk out, and maybe Orbital Gaming just force the issue before they even need to.
Oh, nice. There we go. The Lilting Lullaby going to start us off. Hooker going to go into Zanya's, but Protexity, he's out of it, going to be taken down. Corki crit. Hooker he's going low, goes down, and ultimately Athena Bear also going to be critted, and oh no, Corki goes down. Finally, Athena Bear flashing away. King now is going to be dueling on Leros. Went on the side. Caxi even can't duel this man, but 4 people is going to be more than enough. It is going to be the trade onto the Jhin as Leros, when flashes support, secures himself that 1 trade back, but ultimately it is the team fight and the Elder Dragon now going in the favor of Omega Gaming.
Yeah, but look at who the buff is going to be on. It's not those marksman carries that Tempest would have wanted. It is only going to be on the Karma, Renekton, and the Lilia. And they aren't those leading DPS threats for Tempest. Yes, they're going to be happy that they deny the objective from Orbital Gaming, and yes, they're going to be happy that they get it in their pockets. But the 2 targets that Orbital take down are probably the best 2 that they could have hoped for. Still, really nice play from Tempest, really well played team fight, and we see Todd and King, these marksmen that have got their full builds at this point, coming out with this, you know, just insane amount of DPS.
And they're really not the only ones either. Leros went, he's looking absolutely terrifying, and the fact that we don't have the Elder Dragon on any of those terrifying marksmen means that the fights are still relatively 50-50 right now. Yes, Lily is getting more terrifying, probably the most likely to execute with the % damage burn that she applies, but other than that, it really feels like Renekton and Emily are going to struggle to get somebody to the point where Elder Dragon would actually execute you at all. The team fight still could go either way, even as we approach this next objective.
Yeah, and it's important to remember that the Elder Dragon does burn so long as one of these three members merely applies damage to one of the members of Orbital Gaming, that at some point the tick down will occur during the process of King and Todd dealing the massive amounts of damage. And by that I mean, as long as, you know, the Lilia or the Karma have attacked somebody, King and Todd are able to do the majority of the damage, and as long as a percentage, or as long as an Elder Dragon burn goes through, the buff should take out the kill. That being said, Baron 4k HP, Athena Bear going in.
They know that this has started. Caxi is still alive, has the Elder Drake on him, needs to burn him down. Athena Bear gets executed. Caxi's still alive. A bullet time, not going to find anybody. And Milk Cows, he's also got it and just needs to chunk out Laros went to that small amount of HP. Looks like he's going to be able to get away for now. Milk Cows doesn't have the flash, doesn't have the gap closer, but there's the slice and dice. There's the execute onto the Misfortune. And that is 2 kills into the pocket of Omega Gaming. Tempest traded back there on Todd a little bit awkwardly, looks for the Syndra and finds her, but a little too late.
Yeah, I mean, the health bars are so low for Tempest here that they just don't feel comfortable trying to walk up and hit this Baron, which eventually just means that this is a 3-for-1 trade, which yields exactly probably 0 objectives. Tempest now wisely making the decision that they want to make something of these picks that they've got, push themselves toward mid lane, but there's nothing going to be found here.
No, and a reset as well from them means that Elder Dragon still ticking down. It's the objective that they have in their pocket. They have a single Cloud Dragon and this temporary buff. And temporary buffs have been what have been getting Omega Gaming through the last 10 minutes, it feels like. They got the Baron right into this Elder that has won them the fight here, and they need to get this Baron just to stay in the game because this Cloud Soul is doing so much work for Orbital Gaming.
It really is, and you know, we talk about Cloud Soul probably being the worst soul, but it's doing so much work in this game. We saw it a little bit right there, that Misfortune can kite out this Renekton if the ability is given to her. That said, again, the Baron started up by Tempest. They're looking to force the fight. This time there's no Elder. This time there's no big team fight buff, but it's just too late.
There's no Gordon either. Athena Bear, he gets into the pit much too late. Nice bullet time across 3 embers, going to buy space and going to find Emily. Athena Bear there, he was going quite low, needs to be taken down here. Hooker also chunked out Caxi. He can zone out the backline here, uses the Zanyas to buy a little bit more space. There's the Jhin ultimate to find the picks, and Laros, when he's asleep, but it's going to be both teams backing off here. The health bar is too low. Todd, he's looking for a way in, but can't walk into all of this burst damage, and is going to be chunked out, almost taken down. Redemption forced out as well. Gordon, he's looking for that shock blast, isn't going to find it. Redemption going to chunk out a little bit as well. Doesn't actually find Todd ultimately, and it's still backing off. Still on the back foot for Omega Gaming Tempest, even though they get the Baron and they get the team fight.
Yeah, so now it's just a waiting game for a little bit here. Wait for those members to respawn, wait for the 5 versus 5, and then use your Baron around the map. Look to try and generate some advantages and hopefully break the base with this buff. Even if they just go as 5, they have enough poke, really, just with the Lilia and with the Corki missiles, to be able to chunk out some members. There's no particular front line for Orbital Gaming here, and you know, what I'd really want to see is just sending Laros into the front line. He's got the best sustain, really. If they send the Misfortune forward, he's going to be able to lifesteal all of that HP back up, and provided that Tempest don't, you know, pretty much 100 to 0 in with the poke, the Bloodthirster and the Lifeline is going to be enough to really help out and stall this push.
Yeah, during those poke stages, this Misfortune's build is actually going to be what could keep Orbital Gaming's structures up. Because it does feel like, yeah, there's a lot of poke here that can just start to take you down. Athena Bear already going to be chunked in. He's the tank. These 1,000 damage crits from people like King and Todd are going to be able to narrow you down very quickly if they're landing just a few of them. No spell shield on Gordon. It's just going to be both teams playing position.
Exactly, and now the GA has re-timed up, I suppose. 4 King has come back. They've expended that cooldown now. Another 5 minutes waiting before that one can get applied. So he's going to be safe. He's going to have that resurrection if he gets dove on by this Misfortune Jarvan combo. And just this sheer amount of AD that this Jhin has, so long as the Fleet Footwork procs, he's going to get so much HP back from just a single auto attack.
Yeah, right now it's a little bit of positioning here as Hooker, he's looking for the bind, is going to find it, and it just might be Emily going down there. The pick going to be enough. Caxi being searched for next. Athena Bear, he has the flag and drag, but no Cataclysm to follow it up. Flash forward into Chilling Smite means that King D gonna get a nice heal back up. Jarvan is this put to sleep. Black Shield gonna keep him from going all the way unconscious, but still the back away from Omega Gaming Tempest only going to net 1 kill for Orbital Gaming, but it's a kill around the next objective.
Exactly, Elder Dragon spawning in 5 seconds, Emily dead for another 30. If Omega Gaming decide to contest this, they're going to have to do it at a numbers disadvantage. King securing that red buff before the fight, Orbital securing the mid lane push, Elder Dragon now spawned and Todd's waiting in a brush.
Corki, he needs to burst somebody out here, but doesn't feel confident walking forward. Athena Bear, the Cataclysm's almost back up, but the poke from Corki keeping them at bay. Caxi, he just wants to walk forward. Watch out, eat for this man. Todd here is going to have the poke over the wall. King is also poking with his ultimate, albeit. And right now, it is the vision control for Omega Gaming Tempest.
Still a 4v5 though, Emily not yet spawned. Bullet time.
Bullet time doesn't end up finding Todd, and it is still a battle of positioning, but right now, it is one that Orbital are winning because Todd, he can't get involved in this fight consistently. He's spotted on a ward, doesn't know it just yet. Swirlsleeve gonna find one, but no Lilting Lullaby means that there's no engage on that
Big
side.
crit.
For Texity, he just needs to find the ultimate over the wall. Caxi needs to survive. The stopwatch going to be enough. Todd finds a pick along with King. The junglers are shut down, and Todd is being collapsed on, but it is the Guardian Angel that is still available for the frontline. Milk Cows and King can walk themselves forward with no fear. Gordon as well has the Guardian Angel available. Athena Bear has that second life as well, but they're going to need to back off because they're way too low. Milk Cow is going to be able to push this one in, and the dragon is turned onto by Omega Gaming Tempest.
Yeah, but importantly, Caxi's dead here. Athena Bear still available, level 17 smite is 950 true damage, but Milk Cows,
he's got to be careful here. Does have the Guardian Angel to buy a little bit of time, and King is walking over. There are so many crits from this man. They need to be careful. Bouncing grenade across 3 is going to be able to lock down the misfortune with Milk Cows here. Athena Bear misses the flag and dragon. That's another kill going over to King. He's looking for the last one. Gets the zoomies off of the crit there. Double kill for him. Means that jungler is no longer alive, and Omega Gaming Tempest, they are feeling confident.
46 minutes into this game and Tempest finally secure an ace. They're finally going to be able to get themselves the Elder Dragon, and it should be across 5 members here. Todd and Caxi going to respawn. The Jin, the Karma, more than able to take down this dragon. 441 crits over and over again, and then of course that 5th shot doing the execute damage. Nice to see that we've got Milk Cows just standing by in case the Morgana or the Sindri goes for the steal. Really well played extended team fight from Tempest. Obviously looking like, you know, a 3 for 3 might not go their favour, but the dancing grenade from the Jin actually proccing 2 Guardian Angels, leaving Leros to fend for himself in a 1v3, means that Tempest come out ahead, and now they're pushing the base.
And Todd and Milk Cows, they know that they're scary. Everybody has to be afraid of this man, especially the man in the lane here, because the Elder Dragon on him is going to be able to chunk you up from so high. Hooker, he just goes down. Nice deadly flourish is truly deadly from King there. The lockup, it applies the best CC. That CC is death. And now it looks like Omega Gaming Tempest, they want to be on the back foot here a little bit. 4 members available, and 4 very bursty members. They do not want to lose this Elder Dragon, and they move to top side.
Yeah, exactly. They've got the mid lane inhibitor, and whilst I feel like they could probably poke under the Nexus turrets, the safest play is definitely to go to the top side. Baron's still available, and they're going to try and secure what is probably the 3rd Baron of this game, maybe even the 4th. I've lost track at this point. The Elder Drake should just make it a formality. But with not too long left on it, you know, they've had a minute of that buff now. They've secured themselves 1 pick in the mid lane inhibitor. I want to see them get back on the back out on the map. Full build across pretty much all of the carries right now means that they shouldn't really need to reset. Get this buff, run it back out to top lane, and just go again.
And right now, I think you're right, because they have to act now. Omega Gaming Tempest, their game plan so far has been the League of Temporary Buffs. They get themselves the Baron, they get themselves the Elder, they get themselves the Baron, but it is all time constrained. Omega Gaming, they are the ones that need to be, I want to say, proactive right now. As much as we thought that it was Orbital Gaming in the early game, now they've got themselves at a comfortable point, and they can sit back and try and stall out all of these neutral buffs that are only for a few minute.
Yeah, I mean, they spent probably a minute now just shopping because it looks like King was trying to decide on his build, has ended up selling the boots and going for another crit item, I think. Or actually, he's gone the Bloodthirster route here, so it's going to be quite slow until he starts auto-attacking, and he's going to have to use the autos to kite. Has the Karma to give him a little bit of extra movement speed. They're not even going top lane. They're just going to try and force through mid with these buffs available.
Making Game Tempest, they are done with this game. They've been on the back foot long enough. They want to try and find the end here. King doing an immense amount of damage. Not that speedy, but with these crits in the base is going to be zooming around with the assistance of the minions. Milkhouse, he is the first one onto the turrets here. There is no more Athena Bear. He needs to find the engage. Pops the Gargoyle Stone Plate. He's already in the middle of 4. Is on top of King. No flash for this man. Bullet Time going to split up the team, but Todd, he jumps forward, gets taken down by the Misfortune, and it looks like Jin going to be taken down as well. Not a lot of damage on the rest of the members. Means that he is going to pop out from that Guardian Angel and be taken straight back into the ground. And Orbital Gaming, they find a fight, they stay in the game, and the temporary buff is wiped off of 2 important members of Omega Gaming Tempest.
Yeah, they spend so long after the Baron deciding on their items, deciding where to go, that the Elder Drake wears off. They get one in Nexus turret, but this is a 5v3 for 40 seconds. Orbital Gaming, they don't just get the fight, they might even take the game. No carries here for Tempest. They could have just thrown this one.
Yeah, they're pushing into the base right now, and those towers are just melting to the damage that Orbital Gaming are bringing. There's still no real DPS available, no real contest available for Omega Gaming. Tempest and Emily and Caxi, they got to be careful. Renekton, he's maybe even base racing, teleporting right back in now, is going to try and save the game. Emily goes low, and that's going to be with the teleport. Orbital Gaming, they're backing away. Root going to land onto Caxi as well, secures the disengage.
Yeah, so just an inhibitor trade in the mid lane essentially, and I'm going to take a quick monitor of the top lane inhibitor as it does fall to the minions from the push that Milk Cows was able to establish. So 2 inhibitors to 1 in favour of Tempest. Next neutral objective to spawn is going to be that Elder Dragon. They've got 2 minutes on that, so we're just going to spend a little bit of time here pushing super minions against one another. Maybe Tempest are looking to find a pick though, with Caxi and Milk Cows.
They've got to find something here, and it's more about the priority around the Elder Dragon. Hooker, he goes so low, might be able to be taken down. Milkhouse pops the Dominus, but they don't end up finding the Morgana. It is a game of pressure that Omega Gaming Tempest, at least with that pick, are losing, but the top lane inhibitor, an additional source of pressure.
Yeah, a little bit of hesitancy actually from Caxi to use the Lilting Lullaby would have definitely secured Hooker, but unfortunately not using that cooldown means that Morgana is able to run away, and it's again due to this Cloud Soul. Pops the Soul Shackles and just gets an absolute ton of movement speed, able to run away from the Renekton, from the Lilia. 2 of these champions that with Blade of the Ruin King, with Lilia passive, are incredibly speedy, but the Cloud Soul just counteracting that perfectly.
It's really scary when you see the Cloud Soul pop being able to buy so much, I want to say, mobility. Athena Bear really the only one that it's wasted on. Everybody else, especially Gordon, is going to be very scary in these team fights. But right now, Omega Gaming Tempest, they want to use the element of surprise. Milkhouse, he starts off the fight. Athena Bear going to engage onto 4, and the bullet time across the same amount is going to be interrupted by Milkhouse threatening the stun. He could trade his life for it. Is going to use the res on the Guardian Angel there as King finds the snipe straight onto the backline. Is being chased down by the Jaces. Milkhouse trades the other way. King needs to survive, but he does not. Gets taken down by Gordon, and now Caxi's got to run away. He's got no damage to speak of either. Todd and King, they put themselves in the ground once again, and they teleport into the mid lane from this chase.
Yeah, this game is going to be over. Athena Bear and Lois just trying to buy time as Jace ends in mid lane.
And it's going to be easy. They just have to chase down. Athena Bear is so tanky. Just even kills Emily straight up there. The respawn timers are so long. Gordon has so much damage that this should be the game going over to Orbital Gaming. Game 1 seems like it is in their pockets, but a hard-fought game it was. Gordon and Athena Bear joined by Vertexity here onto the Nexus, and they finally end the game at 53 minutes and 30 seconds.
Whew. Well, what an absolute slaughterfest that was. Just action back and forward. Unfortunately, though, for Tempest, they do come out behind. They lose the game that, to all intents and purposes, we feel like they should have won here. They had the neutrals, or they had the neutral objectives going in their favour. 1 Elder Dragon, 2 Baron, so many advantages throughout the game. Just not quite being able to close out right there.
And importantly, those were advantages that were gotten in the face of so many disadvantages that they rolled up for themselves in the early game, they losing the soul so early on, even though it was stalled out by, yes, two dragons, meant that it felt like as long as the temporary buffs were on Omega Gaming, they just were not losing. It's not that they were actually winning just yet, and even with the scaling composition, not quite able to make it happen in the late game. Really nice play from Orbital Gaming Aurora around those power spikes of the limited time buffs to eventually take down Omega Gaming at the objective that they most needed.
Exactly. It pains me to see it that this is how the game ends. Obviously, the good thing for Omega fans is that this is the best of three series, right? There's another chance for them to go on and maybe win out in this series, but with the closeout showcase that they didn't exhibit there, you have to fear for them just a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean the good news is that they did put up a really nice fight, even though they weren't able to close out the game. It felt relatively even from what was a really large deficit. So Omega Gaming certainly have the chops in this series to go toe to toe with Orbital Gaming. Both teams looking really clean at various points, and it's really up to how they now continue to itemize into those strengths, how the drafts change as these teams get to know each other that will decide this series. We'll come back to game two right after this.